It's always the quiet ones, right? That's what I was telling myself as I waited for orders in the control room, my eyes darting from one screen to another. The whole place buzzed with a low hum, the kind that feels like it's under your skin, vibrating in your teeth. I'd seen some rough SCPs in my time, but none like this one. SCP-096. The Shy Guy, as some of the staff call it. Thing is, you only have to look at it once. Just a glance, a flicker on a screen, and it's over. Once it knows you've seen it, that's it. It comes for you. And it doesn't stop, no matter where you are. I was reminded of this again as I scanned the cameras, trying not to look too hard at the screens showing 96's containment cell. My eyes would skirt around it, focusing instead on the equipment, the steel doors, the way the lights cast strange, long shadows. But then I noticed something unusual. One of the shadows moved. I double-checked the room number. Containment Cell 096. My heart pounded and my mouth went dry. I flicked on the intercom and whispered, "Containment breach. SCP-096 is on the move." Silence answered me back, the kind of silence that only comes before something goes horribly wrong. And then, as if on cue, the sound of metal grinding against metal filled the control room. It was like the whole facility held its breath. The grinding grew louder, the doors screeched open, and there it was. It wasn't supposed to be in here, not in the control room. But somehow there it stood, all twisted limbs and pale, stretched skin, its face buried in its hands, shoulders heaving with sobs. The door behind me had clicked shut. No escape. I shut my eyes, holding my breath, not daring to even peek at it. But I could feel its presence. It moved slowly, pacing back and forth, each step sending shivers through the floor. The sound of its quiet, hiccuping sobs was maddening, like hearing a wounded animal in the dark. And then, all at once, it stopped. I could feel its gaze on me, even though I hadn't looked. It was like a weight pressing down, like the whole world was telling me, "Look." My heart thundered as I fought the urge, sweat dripping down my face. Minutes felt like hours, and then, finally, the door behind me creaked open. Relief washed over me. I kept my eyes down, took a step back, and left the control room. As I turned the corner, I almost looked back, a reflex more than anything else. But I didn't. Days passed and no one saw 96 after that night. It was gone. Vanished. The control room door had warped, twisted, like something huge had forced it open from the inside. The last footage showed me alone in the room, whispering to myself, not knowing what was lurking just beyond my line of sight. But here's the thing. Every so often, in the corner of my eye, I see it. Just a flash. Just a shadow that vanishes the second I look. Sometimes it's in my bedroom at night. Sometimes it's in the bathroom mirror. I never get a good look, but I know what it is. I know what's waiting for me in the darkness. I hadn't slept in days. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see it. The gaunt, skeletal shape, the pale skin stretched too tight, and that face hidden in twisted, clawed hands. SCP-096 was gone, or so they told me. Security ran a full sweep. They'd searched every inch of the facility and found nothing. Some of the staff even thought I'd cracked, that the sighting was a breakdown, just a trick of exhaustion. I almost believed them, but I knew better. I could still feel it, lurking just out of sight. The shadows had gotten worse. Each day I'd catch glimpses of it in my peripherals, that silent silhouette just beyond my reach. It never showed itself fully, never made a sound. Just a flicker here, a shadow there. And every night the feeling got stronger, that tugging, desperate urge to turn around, to look. It was relentless, wearing me down, fraying my nerves until every sound, every creak of the building set my heart racing. One night I was in my quarters, the lights dimmed. I'd been staring at the ceiling for hours, dreading sleep. A flicker caught my eye and I froze. There it was again, standing in the corner, but this time it was closer. My heart stopped. I shut my eyes tight, knowing the rules, knowing that a single glance would seal my fate. But it felt different this time. It wasn't pacing or shivering like it had in the control room. It just stood there, its presence pressing down on me like a cold, heavy weight. Suddenly I heard something, a quiet, almost pitiful whimper like a wounded animal. It filled the room, making my skin crawl, and then I felt its breath on the back of my neck. I fought the urge to turn around, every muscle tensed as I stayed perfectly still, eyes screwed shut. Then a whisper, soft and trembling, cut through the silence.
Please, look.
The voice was fragile, weak, and somehow human. I felt its desperation, like it was pleading with me, its voice barely more than a breath. For the first time, I didn't feel just fear. I felt pity. SCP-096 was suffering, trapped in some endless torment, alone and shunned, and it wanted nothing more than a single person to acknowledge its existence, to see it. Against every instinct, my eyes fluttered open, just a little, and in that sliver of vision, I saw its hand, bone-thin and trembling, reaching out toward me, its fingers curled, its nails scraping against my sheets. It was so close I could feel the cold radiating from its skin. I closed my eyes again, heart pounding, frozen with terror. In the silence, the hand pulled back, the soft sobbing starting up again, echoing through the room. It moved back to the corner, melting into the shadows, leaving me shaking. When I finally dared to open my eyes, it was gone. The room was empty. But that whisper still lingered in the air, a ghostly echo. From that night on, it became a ritual. Every night, SCP-096 would appear, closer each time, begging in its broken, shivering voice, and I'd sit there trying not to give in. It became a test of will, a silent endurance I barely survived. And each time I heard that whisper, that plea, it became harder to resist. One night, though, I broke. Maybe it was fatigue, maybe curiosity, maybe pity. Whatever it was, I found myself whispering back, "What do you want from me?" The room went silent. For a moment, I thought it was gone. But then I felt a chill and something cold and damp brushed against my hand. I didn't dare move, didn't dare breathe. It was a touch, hesitant and trembling, like the creature wasn't sure if I'd pull away. It stayed like that for a long time, just holding my hand, as if in that one touch it could finally find the relief it had been seeking. And then, as suddenly as it had arrived, it was gone. Just like that. The whisper stopped, the shadows faded, and for the first time in weeks, I slept. It's been months now, and SCP-096 hasn't shown itself again. Sometimes, though, in the quiet hours, I find myself staring into the dark, waiting. The memory of that whispered plea lingers, haunting me in a way I can't quite explain. And some nights, I almost wish it would return, if only to break the silence. Because I know, somewhere out there, it's waiting, still hoping that someone, anyone, will look.